Hello, 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 beautiful soul. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, no matter where you are in this beautiful world. This is the Angel Lady Terry Marie, and welcome back if you've been joining us here and there. This is the Success and Prosperity Mastery interview series, and today we have an amazing gentleman, Sean Douglas Stewart. He is a speaker and trainer who speaks on helping women entrepreneurs enroll more ideal clients through his transformation-based sales process. Sean's clients often come to him with discomfort around selling and a fear of being pushy or salesy, and he helps them through these challenges at their core, which dramatically impacts their businesses. Originally trained by Anthony Robbins, Sean Douglas' best skill is his ability to instill, in his clients about their self-worth. Seven-figure business leaders like Ted McGrath, Lisa Sasevich, and Marissa Murgatroyd have hired Sean to help their sales teams increase conversions. Sean has been a featured expert on NBC News, Fox News, and in the New York Times. And with 15 years experience as a public speaker, he inspires heart-based coaches and entrepreneurs around the globe to actualize their highest life ambitions. Thank you and welcome, Sean. It is a delight and a pleasure to have you here with us. I'm going to say this evening because that's when we're doing it. So
awesome
tell us. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about, or a lot of bit about your journey. How did you get started with all of this?
Well, I got started basically when I was, the initial seed was planted when I was in high school. I had a senior project that I was lucky enough to get in on. Only about 6 of us did. And basically it allowed me to skip all the prerequisites. So I was skipping math and I was skipping science so that I could do this creative project in my senior year. And it turned out I could do it on anything. And I decided to do it on a book that I had been given by my mom, which was called The Perfect Present. And it was about this guy who went his whole life trying to find the perfect present until he stopped trying and then he finally got it, right? So it was about the present moment.
Okay.
And I decided to create a talk at my school and share about my wisdom that I gained from this book. And what was interesting was that I forgot my notes. And so I came and actually had to be present for my talk on the perfect present. And then somebody came up to me, a friend of mine, he said, "Wow, that was amazing. You're inspiring. You remind me of, Tony Robbins." And I didn't really know much about Tony at that point, but it sparked that seed in me that, this might be something I could do. But it took me another 10 years from there to actually start pursuing the idea of helping others, and had to kind of hit rock bottom where I was pursuing music careers and creative careers, and found myself kind of depressed and just unhappy with where my future was leading. And I had a sort of breaking point where I realized that I wasn't living congruent with the spiritual truths that I hold dear and know. And like I'd read so much my whole life, including The Perfect Present, but all kinds of books from Wayne Dyer to, Deepak Chopra and so forth, that I had so much knowledge and understanding intellectually of spirituality, but I had found myself not living it. And so I made a commitment at that point to live it. And that's when I started this business of coaching and helping people. And it's been an amazing journey where, in a way, having to help people has kept me in integrity with being my word. And, I have to live the stuff that I teach. And so I think that's what's been such a blessing, is that I can't get away with just talking a good game now that I do this as a career. And so I think it's been helpful and challenging all at the same time.
Well, that's what a lot of people, so it appears that they talk a good game, but they don't always live what they teach, and they may or may not have walked it. And if they do, they haven't walked it very much, and they kind of go back and forth. So how has that, you bring up a really good point, that it almost, I don't like to use the word forces, but that's the word I'm getting. It kind of forces you, or yeah, we don't like that word, keeps you on the straight and narrow, as far as just really staying like you said, to your own purpose. And what I'm getting about you is that you're really quite sensitive, or you're kind of an empath, and so you can kind of go off on tangents, and you've made a choice to live congruently, which is also totally in alignment. How has that been a challenge for you, Sean?
Well, I think it comes down to, I think, the idea of comfort zones, and the idea that, I think like many people, I aspire to have more and more comfort and, relaxation. And so there's a bit of a challenge where I can't really have that like I want it, in a way. And it's good for me because I'm constantly pushing out of comfort zones. But the challenge is sort of the inner conflict of wanting to be able to kind of do what you want to do, and having this other side that says, yeah, but when you do that, you get complacent, and you end up not living on, kind of, as Tony Robbins, like the edge of life, where you're pushing the envelope
Okay.
on what's possible. And so it's the challenge is to stay uncomfortable in a world that sort of pushes us to value short-term comfort above all else. And it's almost like working through
Yeah.
that dichotomy in one's mind on a consistent basis.
Well, that was a mouthful. That is true, isn't it, though? Because so many people, and when we have messengers and we have text messaging and all of these things, it's like instantaneous. And if you don't answer someone, within a couple of seconds, it's like, well, did you get my text? It's like, yeah. So
Yeah.
how have you helped yourself to stay on the edge, to
Hmm.
keep pushing past your comfort zone, and still be in integrity and in alignment for you?
It has to do with, first of all, rituals. I think when I got into doing the morning ritual consistently in my life, that was the first structure that really laid a foundation for me to be able to be in integrity with being uncomfortable and being in alignment consistently. And I think as an artist, as a creative, uh, it's very easy to break structure, or to not be okay with sticking
Mhm.
inside of structure. And I think that one of the greatest gifts has been to realize that that structure is there for my good. And it's not. It might feel uncomfortable to set structures up, but it actually can be kind of like a bed that you can actually lay in, and it can have comfort in itself because it holds you to a higher standard, and it keeps you on track. And so morning rituals and state management rituals, ways in which that I consistently get myself into a powerful and empowering state, despite how I might feel or the mood that I'm in. Things like that I do repeatedly, that I'm constantly doing over and over again for years. They have made new habits in place of bad habits. And so that's really what was happened is the structuring has really created for me an opportunity to step into a more sort of mature and elevated version of who I was in the way that I operate. So that's structures are probably the key for a creative like myself to get there.
Okay. So the structures that you put into place for yourself are how you got from rock bottom to where you are.
Yeah, that's exactly true. That's
Okay.
exactly true.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about your ritual without going? I'm not trying to get into your personal habits, but what would be some rituals or some structure that our listeners either would want confirmation, validation, or maybe to start?
So I think at the very least that you have a written down list of 5 things, let's say, that you're going to do every morning that are going to
Okay.
get you connected spiritually. The things that I do are things like writing down, what I'm grateful for. Things I do are like meditating, creating a plan of what I'm going to do that day, being, connected to my vision and where I want to go ultimately. Some of these things like that, affirmations and things like that. whatever it is for you, everybody has different things that inspire them. But if you have a list of 5 things, but you pull that list up every morning and you review it, or you have it somewhere close by, it's so much easier than trying to remember what those 5 things are. But that structure
Okay.
of those 5 things. And then secondarily, I would say it's about being able to do what I do is I step into remembering times when I felt great. Like if I don't feel good, or if I'm not in a great state, or I'm preparing to do a sales conversation, or preparing to get on stage or perform or anything like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first ask myself where I'm at on a scale of 0 to 10 in terms of my vibrancy and my presence. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask myself to remember a time in which I was at a 10. And then I'm going to take on
Okay.
that physiologically, mentally, and in my language pattern. And as I start to reconnect to that great moment, my energy starts to rise from a 5 to a 6 to a 7, and I get myself to a level 10. And it's doing those types of things where I'm consciously creating my state of mind. Those are the kind of structures that I put into play that have been extremely effective, consistently helping me get to the next level.
I like that. There I am echoing. Oh, oh well, there goes my energy again. A little bit out of sync with the rest of the world, but I'm used to that by now. You've already shared with us a few of your lessons learned, about structures, especially since you're a creative and writing out a list. What else have you learned along the way to do or not do?
In terms of what?
In terms of growing your business, you pretty much shared with us how you walk your talk, the structures, the foundation, the list of 5.
Yes.
But how do you turn that or transition that in or blend it in with your business
Okay.
and growing your business?
Absolutely. So I think with growing the business, it's about being able to make sure that your week has certain like structures as well. So there's certain days in which you do your marketing, let's say, and days in which you do your delivery of your clients. And it's been really helpful for me to do every single week kind of a review process where I can gather the inputs and not be
Okay.
caught up in the overwhelm of a million things, but zero my mind into what are the most important things for me to be doing this particular week to accomplish my big goals. And I think, if I have the structure in place of every Tuesday I'm doing marketing, and every Wednesday I'm doing delivery, and every Thursday I'm doing some joint venture conversations, that keeps it easy for me to know sort of the overall sort of silos of my weekly plan. But then I've got an agenda, and every single day I create a 5-step plan of my day that's based on my big goals. And so those are ways in which the structuring starts to play into the business. Because what I see a lot of people doing is, just like I was saying earlier about the way in which I started to um, become more, that structures help me. I see people being kind of willy nilly or going with the flow with the way that they run their business. And they're wondering why things aren't happening, but they're not being intentional of setting enough of, this is my objective for the day, or this is my objective for the week or month. And just like if you're playing sports, if you set an objective, let's say if you're playing tennis, that you're going to win against your opponent 6-2, and you set that in your mind, like I'm going to win 6 games to 2 in this set, you're going to have a better chance of achieving that than if you don't at all and you just willy-nilly play the game. So in the same way, I think the attention setting has been the game changer for me. And I have a whiteboard that's in front of me right now, and I set up my 30-day objective, and I have a little thermometer that as I get those financial goals hit, I'm actually shading up that thermometer so that visually I can see that I'm achieving the goals that I'm setting, and my intentions are living in an external structure.
I like that. I have a different way of measuring. I've got an Excel spreadsheet, but I
Mm-hmm.
like the thermometer because you can just look up at it and go, okay, that's where we are. And
Exactly.
that's more visual.
Yes.
And you know, even though and this is again what I'm sensing from you is that you're pretty much yes, you're a creative. Yes, you're working with the spiritual tenets that you learn from Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra, that you're very much energy centered or energy focused. And even so, because we have a physical body, sometimes that's good and sometimes whatever, right? But to be able to see that thermometer, that's an instant visual to help the conscious mind keep out of the way. No matter where it is or isn't, you can just say, okay, I've already got that part. Okay, this is the next hurdle and that's the next milestone. Is that
Yes.
okay? Wow.
Yes. That's,
You know,
to me,
go ahead.
what I have found as a creative entrepreneur is that I have to live outside of my computer as much as possible. So, and I used to have to look at my computer to go into an Excel spreadsheet to pull up a thing, and I would never remember it. It'd be out of sight, out of mind. Whereas if I got whiteboards, if I filled up my environment with visual cues, if I have, as you can see behind me, my 12-month calendar, right? Like these
Right?
things where I can actually, like, it's not in my computer, it's in my environment as a creative and as a physical and energetic based person, and like kind of, I think I saying that, for everyone listening, kind of talking about the different genius sort of zones. Some people are very mental and some people are very physical and some
Mhm.
people, have for the tactile or whatever. I'm definitely somebody that needs to be in the physical world. And so when I set up structures that mirror back that style of physical touch based sort of environment versus mental looking in, finding things on the Excel spreadsheet, my productivity and success has increased tenfold because of matching that style.
Is that one of the areas of your expertise that you share with others or you teach others, your clients, is how to match?
Not really. I would say more
Okay.
accurately is if you're creative, then I have probably the right way to help you because I am creative and entrepreneurial, but I think what happened is I've learned how to be entrepreneurial as a creative, and so I'm always thinking of ways that as a creative you can be effective because I think a lot of people are taught things that don't match who they are. And so I don't know all the other ones. I couldn't be great as the best for if you're more of like an engineer type, like I'm not going to probably be the greatest one to give you ideas on how to structure things. You're going to have your own style. But if you're creative, I think I could be very effective in helping you think through sort of strategy and logical structure based things because that was an extremely hard road for me to overcome. And now that I've got a lot to share on it.
Well, yes, you've been on NBC News and Fox and in the New York Times. Yeah, that's not for lightweights.
Yeah,
That's not
all
for
about
what do
being
they call them?
uncomfortable.
Johnny come latelys or that's not what I don't know why that came. I haven't ever said that, but it's like, okay, yeah, the angels just kind of pop stuff into my mouth sometimes. Like, I'm not sure how that fits, but there it is. So you
It's all
talk
good.
about spiritual transformation based. Those are or can be kind of vague words.
Yeah,
So, a lot of us talk about transformation and
yeah,
transmutation and la la la. So what does that mean for you and what you do, Sean?
yeah. Awesome. Well, the way I look at my business is that it's inner game and outer game, and it's the
Okay.
combination of those two at a level that most people don't really. Some people are really inner game and or really outer game. I'm like the perfect combination of those two. And so in
Okay.
essence, if you think of sales conversation is a sort of, there's a structure. You have to go through some questions. You have to basically elicit the challenges and the desires of your prospect, and then ultimately get somebody to make a decision in the moment to basically decide to move forward. And that's all outer game. Those are some outer game things of actually making decisions and talking to people on the phone. But there's an inner game component of that. And the inner game component is, how do you show up on that call? Are you showing up in a place where your negative mindset or negative beliefs are running the show? Like if you show up to a strategy session with the idea that, if I charge $1,000, that's a lot of money for people. Or, you know what, most people can't afford this. Or, you know what, nobody wants to buy things from me. If you have those
Mhm.
types of ideas going on in your mind, that inner game is going to impact the outer game. And whatever you say, the questions you ask, and your ability to enroll that person decreases because your inner game and your mindset internally was off. And so the transformation is twofold that I'm talking about. It's about transforming oneself. In my case, it would be the salesperson that I'm coaching, right? Or the person who's an entrepreneur that owns a business, transforming yourself to be in a clear and powerful, empowering state of mind when you are doing anything, but in this case, doing a sales conversation. And then it's about holding space for your prospect in that sales conversation to be transformed through the work. And so the transformation that I'm speaking about isn't like woo woo whatever. There is a process, there is a structure. In essence, what we're talking about is helping somebody to helping, like, if we're talking about the salesperson and the prospect, it's about the salesperson helping their prospect understand the core pattern that's in the way from them being able to
Mhm.
break through to the next level. And so everybody is living in this thing where they'll say something. If you said, what's your biggest challenge from getting more clients? And they say, I don't have enough time. But having enough time is not the answer. It's like a smoke and mirrors answer. They might perceive that time is in the way, but time is outside of us. Time is not something we have control of. So the question becomes, what are they doing that is causing them to feel they don't have enough time? As we start to look deeper at the excuse that they say they don't have time, and we find out that they're actually somebody who has a belief that says I don't have time, or has the,
Mhm.
some inner game stuff with time that's causing that experience. Now you get inside a core pattern. If you say to somebody, what it sounds like to me is that the core pattern is actually that you don't believe there's enough time and you're running around trying to move faster than you can, and it's causing you to feel all, anxiety ridden. Now they say, you know what, that's where they go, where else do you feel anxiety a lot? Yes. Where does it show up? It shows up when I try to go to work. It shows up when I'm trying to help my kids. Now you start to elicit a pattern that's underneath this excuse of time. When you confirm with your prospect that you're talking about something that they truly have as a problem, that they are anxiety ridden, that they do have this fear that they don't have enough time, and you say back to them, is it true? Do you feel that way? And they say yes. Now you're talking about something much deeper than I don't have time. And at that point, the sales conversation becomes transformative, because what you're basically
Okay.
saying is, I'm going to help you break through to the next level of who you are. And that's how I teach my coaching clients, is how to have a transformation based sales conversation. So they, as the salesperson, is transforming, and they are holding space for their prospect to transform. And so it's an incredibly empowering process, and very much based on spiritual principles.
It absolutely is. I can, when we first connected to do this, I felt the good energy, and it was strictly just through messaging and whatnot and emails. And yet it's so much more powerful. And so I'm so really glad you're here, because so many of the people that I meet in my line of work, they really have an issue with the inner game of charging at all, or charging, having a fee. I spoke to a woman a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, maybe towards the end of December, or January. Anyway, she does land clearing, and re-blesses it, and removes negativity for people and whatnot. And I asked her what she was charging, and she says, well, I know what I'm supposed to charge, but she doesn't. And it was like, really? And there seems to be such a huge gap for most, not all, but most spiritual based entrepreneurs, whether they're working for somebody else or want to work for themselves, to even be able to accept a decent wage. And those are the words that are coming, because if you're worried, what does that do to your level of spirituality? It tanks.
Yeah. It's hard because I went through it. I mean, I didn't come out in this business charging a lot. I just was really low level mindset with money as I started. And so I rose up the ladder one step at a time to the point where I'm able to charge high ticket at this point. And,
Mhm.
you know, I am of the belief that it can be a quick change from being low mindset about money to up leveling it. There's some simple shifts mindset wise that can change that. But I think for some people, they do need to feel like the value that they're delivering is commensurate with the pricing to a degree. And it takes a little bit of, you know, sort of jockeying with integrity. Okay, I'm going to go up to
Mhm.
550. Okay, I'm going to go up to 750. So I don't want to be, I want to go a little bit different than I hear a lot of people in this industry who just want to be like, why aren't you charging enough? I think that, you know, there is an up leveling. There's an up leveling of value. There's an up leveling of awareness of why it makes sense to charge more, and giving you structures and ideas a way that you can actually set yourself up to charge more and really quickly double or triple your income. But I also want to acknowledge the discomfort that comes with feeling like you're out of integrity because you
Mhm.
aren't yet certain that you can deliver that level of value to your clients. And all I want to say is that, like, if anybody who's listening to this feels that way, I just want you to know it's okay. And there is, you know, there's a way in which you can move fast through that, but don't feel bad if you're still trying to say, okay, I'm not yet charging 10,000. What's wrong with me? Because the reality is some people out there are overcharging. Not saying that
Mhm.
they should you know, that there's something wrong with them, but that the value isn't commensurate. And therefore, I feel like that's not fair to the person. Like, if you just started out as a coach and you really think that you're worth $10,000 for a 6 month program, it's like, how can you actually say that when you've only worked with two people? So there's two sides to the coin. And I want to help people raise up their money mindset, but I also believe in making sure that the value that we provide for our clients is 10x what we charge. And if you can't honestly
Okay.
say that, you should probably be careful going too big too fast. So there's two sides to that coin.
I totally agree. And what I teach most of, well, not most, what I teach my clients is to only compare themselves to where they were to where they are. You know, look around and see what you want to model or how you want to do things,
Mm-hmm.
but be very careful that you don't compare yourself to somebody else because one, you don't know their journey, you don't know exactly what they're doing, and you don't know their inner game, their inner mindset, their inner vibration. So it's really multifaceted, and it sounds to me like you're addressing all parts,
Yeah.
which is, especially when you're on your spiritual path, you really can't ignore the inner game because it has to match or be in alignment with the outer game. Setting goals and intentions is all fine, well, and good, but if you don't believe it and you're not working on getting there, it's going to knock you on your batucas every time.
Absolutely. 100%.
So, what else is it that you'd like to share with us? I'm being guided to just to kind of open it up to you. We've covered so much already. I don't know what's left to share, but it
There's
feels
always
to me
more.
like there would be some. So it's open to you, my friend. What would you like to share with us?
Well,
What
I
would you like
think
to
it
share?
depends. I think there may be people listening who are not entrepreneurial and growing a
Hmm.
business, and there's those that are. And so if I was to kind of say a final thing, I think I'd love to cover both that. And I think one of the core topics we've been hitting on today is about inner game and setting yourself up to create structures that basically keep you from falling off track or make it hard for you to not win or succeed, right? And so what I
Hmm.
just want to put out there is coming back to this idea of walking your talk. I think that what I find is that a lot of the people that I talk to, it's very easy for them to tell me that they do have some kind of morning ritual, that they do have some kind of process that they're doing, that they do yoga, meditation, they do read books on spirituality. All this stuff is good. But I really think what is often happening is that they're using that as an excuse to not see how much they actually are kind of shirking in terms of their action and being somebody that daily lives in accord with the laws. Because it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of mental focus. One of the things in one of my favorite books is The Science of Getting Rich from Wallace D. Wattles. And one of the things that he says is, controlling your mind, being a master of your mind is one of the hardest things in the world. It's harder than building a skyscraper. And when you think of it in terms of it being harder than building a skyscraper, I think that you start to realize maybe I'm not putting in as much work as I actually could. Maybe it isn't just enough for me to be doing my affirmations and then calling it a day, going and doing, my meditation and calling it a day. What if I could be more intentional? What if I could set more structures up that actually made it so that I was held in place more? What would it mean if I just stepped my game up and got one notch more committed to the success route that I'm on by being my own coach and doing my spirituality at a much higher level, changing my state, whatever it may be? I think that everyone here possibly can see or feel internally that there's another level for what they could do to be more in accord with spiritual principles. And if I can just be a conduit for that message, I think that's what is coming through me to be said. And I hope that, if you're listening, that you could write down on a piece of paper one thing that you could commit to take your spirituality, your personal growth game up on a daily basis going forward.
Very powerful. It is incredibly powerful what you've been sharing with us.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to listen again.
Awesome. A really good question.
Well, I'm just checking in to make sure that I haven't overlooked any questions that I'm being guided. And I'm looking at these. Wow, we've covered even more than what we intended, which is usually what happens. So, okay, any particular takeaways out of what you've already shared with us?
No, I think we covered it.
We did. Would you please tell our listeners and viewers how they can connect with you, because you're absolutely amazing, more than I anticipated, and I anticipated quite a bit. I was really looking forward to this.
Awesome. Well, my website is thecreativetrack.com, so that's one thing, and there's some good stuff on there to learn about me, and also an awesome gift for you. But I wanted to give you one more thing, if I can. We talked about raising our money mindset, and I also talked about the idea that wherever you're at is okay. And I want to just give you a tool that you can use that I wish someone gave me when I started, because it's going to help you raise your money mindset. It's going to help you design your programs really simply in the pricing of your packages. And it's called the Diamond Package Designer. And it's this amazing 5-step tool that I put together. And if you want that, and you want basically like a personalized little system to get your money mindset up and design your packages pricing for your business in the next whatever you're doing next. And if you're an entrepreneur, it's perfect for you. If not, then just go to my website, and there's other great things. But to get this, you just go to tinyurl.com/design your diamond. So tinyurl.com/design your diamond. And you're going to get access to that really awesome tool. And that'll also keep us in the loop.
Thank you. That's amazing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that's thecreativetrack.com. And the Design Your Diamond is tinyurl, designyourdiamond.com, right?
Yeah, no, tinyurl.com/design your diamond.
Okay.
All one word.
Good thing I repeated it out. Yeah. So, I know that didn't come out right. I'm not even going to try and fix it.
It's all good.
Thank you so very much for your time and your energy. I have really enjoyed.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed this. So thank you so much. And
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It is an absolute joy to be doing this series, and you are definitely a diamond, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate your
You're
time.
welcome. Namaste.